In this video, we're going to talk about the 7 palaces. You've probably never heard of the 7 palaces, but they're a huge part of the Kabbalistic system. And this is what we're going to talk about today. So the 7 palaces are related to the chariot experience or Merkaba. So we're also looking at the tarot card of the chariot as well. And in terms of the tarot, it's in particular the universe card, and also the 4 princesses as well. So it is relevant, but it's not talked about. And one of the reasons is that it doesn't act, the 7 palaces aren't actually part of the Kabbalistic tree of life, are they, Bart?
Oh, they are not part of it, but they are a representation of it.
Yes, yes. So what do you know about the 7 palaces, Bart?
Not that much either, because there's not that much to find about them, except in Liber 777, of course. There you see a lot of references.
Yes.
Quite a few references to the 7 palaces.
Yes.
But on what they really are, what is their function, why are they there, it's a big mystery.
It's a toughie. And it's in a part of Liber 777 that people don't go to. And we'll demonstrate why it's a bit confusing in Liber 777 as well. But the 7 palaces are to do with a diagram that was created by MacGregor Mathers in the Hermetic Order, the Golden Dawn. And it's depicted in the Big Yellow Book. And what it is the fall, is Eden after the fall, the Garden Eden after the fall. And in this, you know, with the Kabbalistic tree of life, you just see this diagram with the lions and things. But when you actually see the diagrams of the tree of the Garden of Eden after the fall, they're in full color, and we have people in there. We have the lightning flash, which represents the Kabbalistic tree of life, as you know, and we have Yod Hey Vav Hey in there too. And in the background, you can see there's a Kabbalistic cross with the 4 arms. And we also have this picture of a serpent with 7 heads. And this 7 heads we see in the lust card. It also has 7 heads, doesn't it? And there's a dragon. We can also, in some of the diagrams, we have the pillars of mercy and severity on the Kabbalistic tree of life. And right at the bottom, there is a circle. And in this circle, you can see that there are 7 circles within it. That is the 7 palaces. Okay. They look insignificant, but they're the basis that from which the tree of life comes from. And these 7 palaces relate to the Sephiroth on the tree of life.
If I get it right, if you look at the images, then the 7 palaces are in the position of Malkuth, right at the bottom of the tree of life. So they must have to do with the manifestations.
Yes, the first stage of the opening of the key spread. And the 4th position, Hey, which is Earth, is where we always look at to see what's coming in the future. And this also relates to the Hermetic, the Kabbalistic dictum, Malkuth is in Kether after another way. When we read 3 cards, the 4th position is the one that we bring to the meanings. And it is this 4th position which is outside of the Kabbalistic tree of life. And this 4th position is the 7 palaces. It's also to do with the Shekinah and Malkuth. Shekinah means the divine presence as well. It's a feminine energy. And as you can see in these diagrams, we actually have images of people here, which don't appear on the Kabbalistic tree of life. So there's a lot of information in these diagrams. They are different, and that's good, because it's hard to represent this system in this video. It's impossible to do the whole thing in one video. But what we're going to do is try and put a context around all of these things. And the information about these 7 palaces is actually delineated in Liber 777. And if you don't have this book, I recommend it. Here is my copy in 2 bits. There we go. Look, Bart has got a new one. He's trumped me. Okay. It's well worth getting, because the 777 is the structure used by the Golden Dawn to organize their rituals and everything else. And if we look at the first table of 777, this is the top part of it. On the left-hand side, we have the key scale, which goes from 0 to about 16 on this case. And if you notice, in 0, there has some brackets for N, Ein Sof, and Ein Sof Or. And then we have 1, 2, and 3 below that. And if you notice on the table 4 and table 5, there is nothing in the position of 0. And this is quite common in Liber 777. So, and then we go down to Malkuth in position 10, and there's Yesod just above it. And that, for a lot of the tables in 777, this is what we have. But when we go to table 4 of 777, something strange happens. And if you look on the left-hand column, we have 1 to 10 again, and this is the column of the divine names of Bria. And we see there's the word there in Hebrew is Al. That rules all 3 of the Sephiroth, 1, 2, and 3, which is Kether, Chokmah, and Bina. And if you move on to the angels of Bria, the names are there. And then if we move across the palaces of Bria on the right-hand side, it's called Hekel Kadosh Kadeshim, which is the palace of the Holy of the Holies. And that encompasses those top 3 Sephiroth. And at the bottom on the left-hand side, we have 9 and 10. That's ruled by one name, Al Adonai, which means God, the Lord God, basically. And on the right-hand side, it's the palace of Levnath HaSaphir, which is the palace of the whiteness sapphires. So in all of these tables here, you see that there's basically 1, 2, 3, and 9 and 10 are joined into one picture, into one Sephira, which means that we essentially have 7 Sephira now. So the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 don't change, but above that we have 1, and below that we have the 9 and 10 in one circle. And this is symbolized by those 7 circles within the palaces. I mean, there's the diagram there. So as you can see, the names here in Hebrew, and what it says is the top one, the circles is Kether, K, Chokmah, and Bina in one circle. And at the bottom circle, we have Yesod and Malkuth together. So this is the traditional way of relating the palaces. And all that information about the palaces we find basically in 777. We also have the 10 hells in 7 palaces, which also follows the same pattern of 1, 2, 3. Sheol is in for 1, 2, 3, and Gehinnom is in for 9 and 10 as well. We also have the Dukes of Edom in there as well, and the Kings of Edom as well. So there's a lot of, these are the things that is the parts of the soul. Well, we have Yekaderchia and Neshama grouped together. Ruach is goes from 4 to 8, and then we have 9 and 10 basically in Nefesh. The Kings of Edom, then Adam is Aleph Dam Dalet Mem, and it means man. If you take off the A, you have the Dam, which means blood. But Edom is Aleph Dalet Vav Mem. And these are the kings. They're seen as the kind of the unbalanced energies that manifest on the earth, if you like. But I mean, again, the problem is with the Kabbalistic tree of life, there is no place for these forces, these powers. And we have basically the highest level of Bria in there with the archangels and the angels. And we also go down to the level of Isaiah as well. This is all contained within the 7 palaces.
If you read the 777, if you compare the columns, if you just see how they interact, it explains a lot on how they work.
So, translating these tables onto those images is another story.
Yes.
Because we're missing a lot out here. I mean, the whole picture of the fall of the Garden of Eden is a complex picture, and it's actually described in great detail by McGregor Mathers in some papers when you reach a certain level of grades. A.E. Waite, who's also writes about the 7 palaces as well, and does that in terms of the roses, because the princesses also relate to roses, and the titles of the 4 princesses have Rose Palace in them. So, and they have the Rose Cross as well. And A.E. Waite had his own order, the Order of the Rosy Cross. And he says,
Excuse me.
Yes.
Is that in the Yellow Golden Dawn book?
This one is not from A. Waite. No, this is from another book. He's wrote quite a few books. This is a quote I found in his writings, which sums up what the palaces are about in this respect. He says, if the tree of the Sephirot were delineated according to the true spirit of the Rosy Cross, it would appear as the rose tree of Shekinah, she being the rose of all the worlds, Rosa Mundi. In Malkuth, she is the rose of manifested things. In the supernals, she is the mystical rose of heaven. In Tiferet, she is the rose of purified life. And all the remaining Sephirot are states or phases of the archetypal rose, which is she who is the mystery of all womanhood in all her grades and degrees. So there he's making the point it's all to do with Kether and the supernals, and at the bottom Malkuth and the paths in between. So the rose symbol encompasses the whole system there. The feminine card to do with all of this is the universe card. And he talks about the universe card or the world card in the A. Waite deck in these terms. He says, the Shekinah in transcendence is really referred to Bina, but we are told that in the supernals there is no distinction between her and the Holy One. Remember, Kether, Hukam, and Bina are all together. And in the altar diagram belonging to the grade of Practicus, Kether, Hukam, and Bina are placed within a great circle where they are covered by the wings of Ema Elohim, that is the wings of Shekinah, under which the souls of the just abide in the worlds beneath. The world card or the universe card in the book of Thoth is a symbol of the Shekinah. There's a lot more to it. So we're not left out in the tarot. It's in there. But we wanted to sort of just kind of give you an overview of how you can see all of these things. This is a gross kind of, people know this stuff and think, oh my God, you haven't covered it properly. It's hard to cover this system properly, believe me. It's very difficult.
In half an hour, eh?
This is probably a video where you're going to have to watch a few times as well and to go over things. So we're going to do a tarot reading. So it's get it to talk about itself in terms of the 7 palaces.
This one fell out.
5 of discs. Okay. Worry. Oh, another one fell out. Yeah. What's that one, Bart?
It's the greatest ones that fall out.
Wow. 10 of Swords and the 8 of Cups, indolence. 3 of Swords. Ace of Wands. You got it upside down, never mind.
Yeah, it was upside down.
Okay. 10 of Discs, 8 of Swords, and the Sun card. 10 of Discs.
And the Sun.
And the Sun. Well, the sun is Tiferet, relates to Tiferet, which is the center of the 7 palaces.
Indeed.
The 10 of coins is the last card.
It is lovely that that one's in there again.
Which relates to the 7 palaces as well. And I did a video recently on Wheel and Woe, which is the 78th chapter of the Book of Lies. And you see, this is the whole point with Aleister Crowley putting that chapter in the beginning of the Book of Thoth. He's describing the tarot in a circle. And this is essentially what he's doing, because it's about crossing the veil. Crossing the veil goes from Kether, Hukam, and Bina into the rest of the system. And Malkuth is in Kether after another way anyway. Yeah. So we're crossing the veil, and we've already crossed the veil.
Yeah, there's big fat one at the bottom.
Yes. So there it is. So the 8 of Swords in there, interference.
Yeah, he's upside down. He's
upside down. That probably relates to the mental confusion that we're in slightly. It's mentally it's difficult to understand this system. It's not a simple process.
It could also mean, Ali, it is all this, the knowledge about this subject is all a bit shrouded in it's all a bit concealed and hidden, and it's like they're trying to not allow you to focus on it, distract you.
Yeah. They just want to keep you looking at the pretty little Kabbalistic tree of life, because as tarot readers, we're too stupid to understand these things. So we just stick with what we know. The 7 palaces are an experiential thing. Okay. They're not an intellectual thing to understand. And because in the 7 palaces, we talk about the 7 earths and the 7 hells and the 7 heavens. I think, I mean, one way you can see them in terms of visions, you can have visions which describe these things. It can also be these also appear in dreams. And we can see the 7 palaces as an alchemical process that's going on.
Since the 7 palaces are located in Malkuth.
Yes.
Malkuth is all about manifestation.
Yes.
Now, normally on this level, the work is done by demons.
Yes.
So you would expect the 7 palaces, yeah, indeed, to be connected with demons, since they are the ones who actually do the actual manifestations.
Yes. So it's not something to be afraid of. It's something that's already there. If you remember the story of King Solomon and creating the temple, he used demons to build the temple. Ornias is one of them, I seem to remember. We're talking about duality here. Tarot is a dualistic system. With duality and polarity, if you have a left, you have a right. You have an up, you have a down. Male, female, black, white. And Taoism, yin, yang, I can go on forever on all these things, you see. So W.B. Yeats, Deus et Demonus Inversus. God is a demon in reverse. Jung sort of says, you know, in the divine levels, because of polarity, the demons have to be there as well. You can't ignore them. You don't look for them, but they're there.
Yeah, they're there, eh? There's no avoiding that.
And it's nothing to be frightened of, because we're manifesting all the time anyway. In a tarot reading, we're manifesting a new future, if you like, to sort of bring that energy in from somewhere else, which is what comes through. So the 10 of coins is very much the representation of the manifestation of all the energies, and it's the final card in the tarot deck. It's also all the symbols on the card of the 10 of discs are to do with Mercury, because Mercury rules Virgo, which is the 10 of discs, the last decanate. Mercury is also exalted in Virgo. It's the only planet that is rules and is exalted in the same sign. So the entire system you can see embodied in the symbol of Mercury, which is, of course, the Magus as well. And if you read the Magus in Crowley's Book of Thoth, it is all about duality as well, you see. Bart, you're looking very thoughtful and enigmatic.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the role of demons.
Yeah.
The history, why people are afraid of them, why they are supposed to be so nasty, is because they're jealous, eh?
They're a function of life.
Yeah, but what was it? In what book is it that it's, I forgot what book it is, but I already read the story a lot, that at a certain moment, God placed humans above demons.
So demons were there in the first place.
Their favorites, and the demons were pissed off, like, we're more powerful than humans.
Yeah.
Why do we have to obey them? And God says, because I said so. Yeah. So they obey us, but they're not happy to do so.
Yes.
So if they can trick us into not obeying us, then they will do that. But if we get mad, they will have to listen.
Yes. Well, you know, actually, it's there. Everything has a place in life. I mean, you can't define good without defining bad. The Goetia and the Klippoth and all of these spirits are to do with this area as well. And Liber 231, there's two sets of spirits, aren't there? The imprisoned spirits and the free spirits. It's quite likely that Crowley was thinking of the seven palaces when he was writing about Liber 231. So we're enlarging our remit, our area of power, if you like, of the tarot when we do a reading and when we study the tarot. A lot of magicians don't know anything about the seven palaces. So it's not just tarot readers who are ignorant of it in generally, also a lot of magicians as well, you see. But it's the thing, isn't it? If you know where something is, it's easier to go to. You don't go there looking for demons. But, you know, if you deal with them, you know, it's like roses, you know, roses have thorns.
And if you want any form of magic, if any form of magic, the labor is done by demons.
Yeah. So, you know.
This could have been practically applicable in tarot readings, but now with the opening of the key spread and the Yod He Vav He, and the final He position is actually the position of the seven palaces.
Yes. It was always there.
Yeah, it was always there, eh?
And when I was doing those workshops last summer, you know, and, you know, it's the fourth position comes from somewhere else. And I couldn't quite grasp where that somewhere else was. And now we have it in the seven palaces. Yes. And the seven palaces include all 10 Sephiroth and the paths as well.
Yes, because it is like a little tree of life, only applicable to the manifestation.
Yes,
in Malkuth.
In a circle.
It actually explains how the actual manifestation, the Malkuth, yes, becomes the inspiration, so the Kether,
yes,
to another manifestation. It's like the link between.
Yes, yes. Malkuth is in Kether after another way.
Yes.
And it is also an expression and celebration of the feminine energies as well. So this is all feminine energies we're talking about. And in Hecalot literature, and it's also with Ezekiel, the visions he had in his chariot. Actually, we talk about it as a chariot rising up, but actually it's the lowering of God into his own manifestation that's going on here as well. So this is a very powerful dynamic system. And we're going to do more videos about this in the future, going into a bit more detail. But hopefully this has given you the chance to understand it a bit better. Yes, Bart?
You were talking about the chariot that goes in the shape of a lightning flash down the tree of life. Is that the chariot you're talking about?
No, the chariot card.
Oh, the chariot card. What
Abracadabra, yes. That's that card is a representation of ascent. Okay, but it's actually God descending.
Descending.
Not yes. Really. It's an optical illusion. God is descending into his creation, rather than us ascending through things. So this brings together the entire system of visions and the prophets. And also the other thing is that this system does, the fall of the Garden of Eden, it brings in the entire system of Genesis, which is not really, it's one of the mysteries of the Tree of Life, is it completely ignores Genesis. How could that be if it's a Kabbalistic system? But the fall of the tree of the Garden of Eden, or the Garden of Eden after the fall, even it's confusing, encompasses the Sephiroth, the Tree of Life, and the 10 numbers and the 22 letters in the context of Genesis 1 and 2 in particular.